Yeah. I can't lose, I'ma pass through if I have to. Teach them all like a classroom, If I want it, then I get it. Work hard, don't regret it, yeah, I said it, Head down, I'm focused, you know this. They know this, show this, mind blowing. Keep going, showing, I'm growing, flowing and coasting. I'm moaning, work hard, play hard, let the party start. Can't lose when I'm giving out bars, yeah, can't lose when I'm giving out art. Yeah, confused, man, it's just the start. I will not fucking lose, swear to God, pay my dues. Never lost in the views, and I'm not quitting soon. Never stop what I do, I'm the boss in the room. Selling stocks like a move to the top, coming soon. I can't lose this time. I can't lose this time. Yeah, I can't lose this time. Slowing down, getting paid now, I'ma lay it down, I'ma say it loud, say it proud, never had a doubt. Every word in my mouth, every verb that I shout, I'ma act on it now, get it out. I gotta get it out now, I ain't losing no ground, I ain't losing no round, got no doubt. I'ma win it, no doubt, so just hand me the crown and go down for the count. No discount, cause this sound will hit now, hit loud, so this crowd can get down. This town's my bitch now, I'm rich now, sit down, listen up now, I'ma switch down. I just wanna hit 'em with a little bit of rap trap, drop tops, like a non-stop when I pop off, like a sawed off, flip flop, it's a lost cause, I get lost on cause I'm hot like a cross drop. I can't lose this time. I can't lose this time. Yeah, I can't lose this time.
What's going on, everybody? I'm AK Eagles. Welcome to another AK Eagles podcast. Appreciate you guys for joining in. Tonight, I got a special guest with me. He is someone who knows college football very well. I am not a person who knows college football. So, to go over some of these off-season things that we don't really want to talk about because football is over, but we are. I'm bringing in a special guest, my boy ECG. How's it going, man?
What is going on, man? I just got done doing the XFL stuff, so I'm not sure if there's a lot of people out there watching XFL, but yeah, we just did a whole show of that. So yeah, man, there's a lot of stuff going on, but I'm definitely enthralled in the draft. So I'm actually wearing my Senior Bowl hoodie today because I was down at the Senior Bowl. So
yeah, never went to one of those, but I heard they're a lot of fun. So
yeah, it was a good time. I mean, if being around a whole bunch of scouts and a very professional atmosphere, which I like to be around as well. It was all about the business when we went down there. We had a lot of fun though. Got to meet a lot of the players that we're going to talk about today. I got a lot to get into. I know you got some guys you want to look at and see how they fit with the Eagles. So let's go ahead and get into it.
Yeah, for sure. Well, first thing I want to know, man, is listen. Unfortunately, the NFL season is over.
Yep.
What was your probably biggest curveball to you for the whole season?
The biggest curveball. I definitely didn't think the Kansas City Chiefs were going to make it as far as they did with the lack of weapons, meaning Tyreek Hill, because he's such a big weapon, and having all the rookies that they had on their team. Not to bring it up, I know you're probably still burnt over the whole Super Bowl thing, but if I had to say that what was a curveball, it was definitely that one. they had about what 5 or 6 rookies that were starting. One that I talked about at nauseum was Trent McDuffie, and George Karlaftis was another big one. And they all showed out when Trent McDuffie was healthy. He was good. George Karlaftis played like 50% of the snaps this year, and damn well was maybe the best, best edge guy out there. I wonder what he would have looked like if he had 90% of the snaps like Aiden Hutchinson. But this whole draft class was good last year too, and I think that was the other surprising thing was pretty much everybody on the defensive side in this draft was actually pretty damn good too. I know you guys didn't get to see Nakobe Dean a lot, and I was pretty high on him too. Not like on other people, but I wonder if that injury thing really, that we heard about in the offseason really affected him and they didn't bring him into play a lot. Jordan Davis was pretty good for you guys too. So I think those are probably like the two biggest curveballs. I mean, if you're looking at like Justin Fields had a field day this year. Not to play on words or anything, but he had a really good year. I don't think anybody expected like them to beat the San Francisco 49ers the first week. I know they were at home, but they beat them, and that was kind of we thought that they were going to be on the upward trajectory. I think the other curveball was a lot of people looking at the Lions. I know when we talked previously, all of us were like hopeful for the Lions, like, man, I hope they get over the hump. I hope they are able to move forward. And it seemed like they were able to do that. And, damn near were almost the best team in their division at one point. So there was a couple of curveballs, but I don't think it was anything out of the ordinary. I mean, for me, I had the Chargers and the Vikings in the Super Bowl, and you see they were first round exits pretty much. So that hurt, but outside of that, that was for me. I expected you guys to either be undefeated, like we had talked about, or in the Super Bowl based off of your, I think I had you guys like 15-2 or 16-1 like that. If you guys if you guys got past the first quarter of the season, I think a lot of people remember me saying that. I was like, first quarter of the season is going to be the biggest test for you guys. Mm-hmm. And it kind of ended up being the later half because Jalen Hurts ended up getting hurt. But hey, you guys got to exactly where you got to, and I think a lot of people need to hang their hats on the fact that you guys proved a lot of people wrong. I don't like to go into those things, AK, like thinking that because a person made it to the Super Bowl that they are less than half the team than a lot of people think that they are. You know what I'm saying? So when you make it there, nobody should talk anything. I'm talking about Cowboys fans, Redskins fans, all those fans, the Giants fans, they all need to shut up and just take it for the fact that you didn't make it. We made it to the promised land, and it is what it is. And we saw what happened with the grass and all that, man. So both people had to weather the storm on that one, but hey, it was probably the best Super Bowl that I've seen in a very, very long time. I'll tell you that. So you guys did your thing.
Yeah, no, it was. It's quite upsetting to even be talking about it. Because you're right, it is fresh, but nah, man, that for an $800,000 field, that was probably the shittiest field I've ever seen in my life. Like, I wish that upon no team going forward. I mean, and I even said it the night of the Super Bowl after it was over. I said, let's look beyond the wins and losses. Like, dude, you were putting people's careers on the line. Do you know how many ACLs you could have tore that night?
Mm-hmm. Ankles,
like, I mean, dude, it was just unacceptable by far. I mean, dude, that's the grandest stage of them all. That's shit I expect in the regular season, not the biggest game of the year where you spend all your money. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So,
mm-hmm.
No, that field was just upsetting, man.
I wonder who made the decision for that field. That's the other thing. It's like the decision to bring that field in place. Did both teams agree that was okay? There's more to the story than that. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of people are saying, yeah, the field. Both teams had to play on it. Did it affect one more team more than the other? Maybe because of your guys' pass rush. But did both of the teams decide that, hey, we're okay with playing on this field? So,
No, I agree with that. I mean, I even asked the question before. I was like, listen, you have 2 weeks to prepare for this game. How the hell did you not test that field out like a day or two before the game and realize, oh, that's really shitty. We need to fix that.
Yeah.
You know, like no one did anything on it. You just didn't touch it. You know, like that's my thing. You're right. It was such a great Super Bowl, but that field really took. I mean, it could have even been probably better. You know, there's a lot of players on both sides who were falling that night. And I even remember I turned to my wife and looked at her and said, I really feel like these guys are in slow motion. Like it just seemed like everyone wasn't going 100% because they knew slipping was pretty much inevitable. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So it kind of really took away from the game there at the beginning.
Yeah. I think to me, to be honest with you, I didn't even notice it like that, like most people did, until people started pointing it out. I just took the game for what it was. I'm like, maybe. I mean, of course, you saw the shot of the cleats being in the big container and and all
Yeah.
that stuff, but I didn't. I think people made a bigger deal out of it than I actually had saw, while watching the game. And maybe it's just because of the high of the Super Bowl. And we've seen the little slips and bumps and everything like that, throughout football. And maybe I was just like, that's not such a big of a deal. But then when people started to hear about, oh, this is, the sod god or whatever the hell his name is,
Yeah.
and you saw on social media where they were actually dragging the field out into the sunlight and bringing it back in.
Yep.
And I mean, if you're talking about growing grass the right way, I mean, it looked beautiful, but
Yeah, it looked great, but it didn't play great, you know.
I mean, if was this their take on should we bring grass back instead of turf?
Bro, I don't even know if that was grass. Like, that was I don't even know what the hell that was, but they need to get their money back because that was not even. I never want to see that field again. Like,
Yeah, that dude is forever fired from, especially from any game of importance.
but I guess I noticed it from an Eagle standpoint because, like you said, how dominant our pass rush was. Dude, so many times I saw Riddick on his stomach. So many times I saw Hargrave on his stomach and like just player after player. And then I saw it on the
Mhm.
Kansas City side. You know, there was a
Yep.
couple times Karloftis went down, and then you started seeing it whenever we were running the football. Like
Yep.
there was just times when it was like, yeah, that shouldn't be happening. Not in Arizona where it's warm. What are you sliding for? It's 70 degrees outside. Nothing should be sliding at
You
this
know it
point.
didn't rain.
Yeah, like
It's
so
it's Panera Bread, bro.
it was just terrible, man. I just the field condition. I don't blame that on a win or a loss. That's a shame that's the field you chose for a Super Bowl. That's the way I look at that.
Yeah, yeah, but I mean, who really knew too? So it's one of those things. It's like you live and you learn. You're glad that a lot of other players didn't get hurt. It's a shame that. I mean, I don't like to use the excuse of. It's what I was telling Jimmy from On the Road to Victory. Shout out to him, man. He's one of the homies. But I tell him like, hey, man, both of them had to play on the field regardless of how you feel
Yep.
about it. It just is what it is. I understand the whole pass rush argument. Oh, it affected us more. But what about? So here's my thing. Like, what about the game planning that happened on Hassan Reddick? There was the thing that I kept seeing throughout the night was they would put, I forget the dude's Noah Gray. They would have him as the backup tight end. He would chip block him, and then either the guard or tackle would come out right after him and chip him even more to push Hassan Reddick like 15 yards away from Patrick Mahomes the whole time, where he was pretty much behind him by the time that, the ball was already 5 yards down the field on the pass. So I'm like, what about that type of stuff too? Like, that was smart game planning. If you wanted to eliminate somebody, that's how you did it. And I've never seen that for the whole season. So,
Yeah.
there's
Well,
a lot of different.
it did have to do with smart game planning. I mean, listen, Spagano is an excellent defensive coach. I mean, I'm sure he had the advantage there. And Andy Reid, we all know what he is. He's a legend. So I get it, man. It is what it is. I'm not bitching about it. I take the L and I proudly take it in a way, even though I don't want to.
Yeah.
But it is.
I'll never say anything. I'm one of those guys, like, if you end up in a championship game, that's like if Florida State and Florida ended up in a championship game in college. And I'm a Florida State guy, and I hate Florida with a passion, or Miami. They're the only ones that I hate. But if we both ended up in a national championship game, you think the next year I'm going to go in and say, or right after the game, oh, they're trash, they shouldn't have been here, unless we just totally blew them out, which that didn't happen in the Super Bowl, did it? It was a close game. So Yeah. I don't think anybody should be walking around high and mighty talking about all the Eagles suck and making all these reaction videos. It's blasphemous to me. It just shows how to me personally, it just shows how salty you are that you guys got there. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not the biggest Eagles fan either, but it just shows you how salty you are about this whole thing. And I'm like, man, y'all need to stop the cap, man. The Eagles did what they were supposed to do, and y'all are just mad. They got there and they kept it hanging with the best team in the NFL. So
They did, man. That they did. I will never ever ever sit here and say we lost that because of the offense. I will never put one. Listen, I get it. Jalen had a fumble, but you know how many times he made up for that fumble?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, our offense did more than enough to win this game. I mean, 35 points is 35 points, man. Our defense should not have given up 35 points.
Yeah. I'll tell you, and I know we didn't talk during this time, but I'll tell you what my coach used to tell me in high school, and I told this to my guys too. With a ticky-tack call that happened at the end, it could have went either way. I'm not disputing that. But the thing about it, it's just like when you watch MMA. What did you do to put yourself ahead in the fight or not let it go to the judges? Just like this. You put points up on the board, you'll never have to worry about a ticky-tack call at the end of the game.
Yep.
It just is what it is. And Jason Kelsey will tell you that too. He said that plenty of times. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, and no, I guess my only issue with that whole thing was, man, you let these guys play the entire game. I mean, there was probably way worse pass interference calls at the beginning of the game, halfway through it, that you could have called many times. You didn't. Why that one? That's the only one that I question. Why take away from an already good game? I mean, because if you didn't throw that, it's a 3. They take their 3 points. They go up 3. Jalen goes down. Hey, maybe we go to overtime. Who fucking knows? You know what I mean? But you took away from a fantastic game and just made it a very, very dull ending.
Absolutely. You know? Yeah. I mean, it is the what if ending.
Yeah.
So it doesn't take away that it was a great Super Bowl. That's just like the sour cherry on top of the perfect cake that could have been. So, hey, at least you got there, man. You know me. I'm a Jags fan. We got further than we was supposed to get.
I told you.
Hey, you're right. I said our ceiling was 9.
Lions, bro. I was that close. That close. I think they were 1 game away.
Yeah, I said our floor was going to be 7 wins, and I said our ceiling would be 9, and we did that. So,
I'm telling you, man, Dougie's going to create a legacy over there, dude. You have no idea. I have nothing but the utmost respect for Doug Peterson, and I know what he can get out of his players because he earns their respect and they play hard for him. Dude, y'all never had a coach like him, and if he does what I think he's going to do, he's even going to be worse next year.
The crazy thing is we had a good coach in Doug Marrone, and then the year after they let everybody go because Tom Coughlin came in and started changing the culture. So that's kind of like the what if for us. Yeah. Like what if with Doug Marrone? Remember, he sucked with the Giants. Then he came in with the Jaguars and took us to an NFC championship. And what comes out and everybody says is like the players actually love playing for him. It was Tom Coughlin that ruined our franchise, that team, because everybody was going. Remember Calais Campbell and Jalen Ramsey and all those guys that just all disappeared. I don't think there's one guy that survived outside of Josh Allen, our defensive end. He's the only one that survived all those cuts because Miles Jack is with the Steelers now. So,
but that just only happened last year, though, right?
Yeah. I'm just saying, like whole squad is gone, non-existent anymore.
Yeah, and it's crazy, man, because I thought y'all were on the up and up that year, especially when you made it to the championship game. I was like, oh shit! And then next
what year we had, AK?
Huh?
It was I said, you know what year we had similar to
15 that happened, right?
It was 17, but
17.
The team that I compare it to is the Rams. Remember, the Rams just did the same thing that we did. I mean, they didn't get rid of their players. They had battled injuries. I mean, Matt Stafford and Cooper Kupp got hurt, but it reminds me of that. It's like 2017 was such a great year. Of course, they made it to the Super Bowl. We went into the NFC championship game or AFC championship game. And then the next year we just completely fall off and don't make the playoffs at all. So I feel what the Rams are going through right now.
Yeah, no, I don't. I felt really bad for Jacksonville because, I mean, you could hear the frustration. You could tell Ramsey wanted out. You could tell he wasn't playing at a good level anymore because he just didn't care. I mean, it just really sucked because y'all were just getting there. Like, you could tell you guys made a huge turnaround that year, and
Mm-hmm.
then it just all kind of blew up in your face. And it was like, damn, that's it's just how it goes, I guess.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know?
man. That's how it goes. That's
Yeah.
the only thing that you can say. So
But listen, we are here for this one reason, and like I said, it is a sad one, but it is looking towards the future. We have a lot of free agents, especially on the defensive side of the ball. And like I said, I don't watch college football. I don't. I just don't.
yeah, yeah, I
I
got you.
only look at players that I feel is a need for my team. At positions of need. If like quarterback, they're obviously not being looked at by me because I feel we don't need one and we shouldn't need one. So,
Yep.
not looking at them. So pretty much, I have all defensive players on this list, and I chose the top five just because it's the start of it.
Yep.
And I believe I asked you for top five wide receivers as well, just because I have a sneaky suspicion at 30, if one is there, Howie wouldn't blink about doing it for some reason. So
Yeah.
that's just
Yeah, I'm gonna give you, when we're talking about this, I'm gonna give you some guys that I think weren't on your list that you guys need to watch out for.
yep,
That definitely, went up in their rankings to me that not a lot of people are looking at. Um, but we'll get to that.
yep. So first and foremost, I believe our biggest need for this year would be our defensive line.
Hmm.
You have Hargraves being a free agent, Cox is a free agent, BG is a free agent. I mean, yeah, there's just a lot going on there. And who knows what's going to happen. Howie has yet to do anything, so we're just kind of wait and see moment. Um, but the first one for the edge, and some of these are probably well out of our reach at 10. I understand that.
You never know
It's,
though.
yeah,
Never know.
you never know. Crazy shit happens, so that's why we're talking about him. But the first one, and he should be the first overall pick, if I'm not mistaken, unless a trade happens and the QB's taken, is
Hmm.
Will Anderson.
Yeah, Will Anderson is an interesting one, right? Because he's coming off I believe like a 20 sack season last year, and then he kind of slowed down this year. But that overall team sucked in general. Outside of, Bryce Young held it together as much as he can. So I don't care what anybody says about that kid. He's one of, if not the best player in this draft, and probably is going to be. We're not going to see a prospect like him for a long time. He's just a small guy, but Will Anderson's got everything you want. You guys play in a 3-4 defense, right?
No,
And
well, I don't know. Whoever
well,
our
you don't know what the future is going to hold
I
yet.
don't know what that is. So
Yeah.
all
Uh,
depends.
so if you're wanting somebody that's a dominant edge rusher, it's Will Anderson for sure. Because when you look at the big boards, it goes between him and it goes between, um, Bryce Young. Both play at Alabama. They're probably not going to be there, like you said. So not a lot to be said about this guy because he's probably going to be off the board before you get to him, unless you guys make some extraordinary trade. Which to only get that first overall pick, you're going to need to trade Jalen Hurts, and that's
Yeah,
not you guys not trading Jalen Hurts. So, but I'll give you a name that I think you should look out for: Keon White from Georgia Tech. Now, Keon White he's vanilla, but where he would learn from under a really good coach in the NFL is how to use his body completely. We seen him at the Senior Bowl. The kid was absolutely brutal, man. When we tried to interview him at one point, he was like literally sitting behind us, like reading a book. So, kid's a quiet kid. Opening him to somewhere like Philadelphia. I would love to see what he would be like just getting a little rowdy. You know what I'm saying? Would you guys bring out that energy in him? But I think if he falls there, he went from the big boards of being like 120 to like I think he's 31 right now. So he made a huge jump during the Senior Bowl. He was one guy when I say every single time, AK, when we watched those drills, he was dominant. I mean, foot in the grass. I mean, grass coming up behind his foot, like taking you back, putting the back of your left tackle or right tackle up against your face every single time. So
I like that.
Yeah. So Keon White's one that I would definitely look out for. But yeah, I don't think you guys are gonna get Will Anderson. But if you ever watch his tape, he's Von Miller, man. He's crazy.
I was gonna ask what would his comp be for you, but you just said it. So
I would say he has Von Miller like tendencies. I think he's a little faster than that. Von Miller has like scary speed though, so I mean, God, I don't know. Will Anderson is kind of his own god, but I think maybe that's his NFL comparable would be Von Miller, just the way he uses his body. Because you know how Von Miller does, man. He gets around that edge and his arms start going, right? I mean, he's gonna grab onto somebody and make a play. And that's kind of how Will Anderson is too. He's real fast and he gets around that block really, really quick, drops that shoulder, and he's out. So but I don't know if I thought this year was actually going to hurt him a little bit, to be honest with you, because of how down it was. But you got to look at that whole team. They didn't have 1,000-yard receiver, 1,000-yard running back. I know people like Jahmyr Gibbs, but I mean, you got to call it for what it is. This has been the worst Alabama team that we've seen in the last, 15, 16 years. So take that into account for Nick Saban. They're not going to suck next year. I'll tell you that. They're hitting the gym right now as we speak.
Yeah, no, and listen, guys, I know we need a corner. I know we need a safety, but holy shit, you only have so many picks around, So, I mean, we all know how he goes from the line out. That's how he works. So, I mean, even though we would want a CB at 10, it's probably going to be an edge or a lineman at 10 and a CB at 30, like or safety or best available, whatever he does. I don't know. It's Howie. But I'm just saying, and I've always said it, if you think Howie's going to do something, do the complete opposite of what you're thinking, and that's pretty much what you're probably going to get from him. So,
well, let me ask you a question, because Mitch brings up an interesting prospect. I don't think he's going to be there for you guys, but I'm not the biggest on Joey Porter Jr. anyways. I mean, I think some other guys skill set wise are better than him, and that's not the popular. Of course, you know me. I'm never the popular guy. I'm gonna give you what I honestly think every single time about a prospect. But what do you think when you look at your division and the three teams that you have to play twice a year? So that's 6 games. What do you think that they need at corner as far as like skill set wise? And I'll tell you who fits that
for my team this year.
For your team. Like, you got to go against Terry McLaurin and them twice, CD Lamb and them twice.
It would probably have to be a Bradbury type physique. I'm looking at probably 6'1", probably 180 to 200, a physical type corner. I don't like, I'm not one for a corner who lays back, Like, I get it sometimes, that's good, but I want the physical guy to get up in your face and that's what, input your dominance right away. That's what we need, and that's kind of what Slay and Bradbury did this year. So I want to stay on that kind of corner.
So you want a physical kind of tall corner, not necessarily somebody that's like super speedy. You just want them to be physical enough to hold their own within 15, 20 yards, right? So kind of want to stay away from Christian Gonzalez because I see his name pop up a ton. But the dude plays in the fastest division in the Pac-12. I mean, he played at Oregon. Those guys are fast out there, but he's not the most physical. Joey Porter Jr., you have him, but he's not the speediest. And the one thing about Joey Porter Jr. and the Skip Bayless is a bitch. I don't think Porter sucks, bro. He's really good. And kids that are kids of people that used to play in the NFL, usually they're already on an upward trajectory. The only problem with people coming in from college that are former pro sons is they have disciplinary issues because of their heads getting blown up. He's not that. I mean, he stayed.
Okay, real quick, because we're on this, I want to ask you
Yeah.
an honest question because Joey Porter Jr. is from Penn State, so I do see him now and then. Now, you might not think he's the best talented one out of this group. Okay,
Yeah.
I give you that. But let me ask you this. If he has a shred of his dad's mentality, does that take him over the top to be better than what his talent precedes him to be? Because we all know his dad was a dog.
Oh yeah,
You
for
know?
sure, for sure. And I'm big on this too, AK. I'm big on people playing in different type of weather. So he played at Penn State, and it's always cold up there too. And he's coming, and if he gets drafted to Philadelphia, he's going to be used to that. So that's not one thing that he has to get used to is like playing outside. I know some people measure that higher or lower or whatever, but it just is what it is. You just got to call it the truth. So, but yeah, if he's able to take a little bit of what his dad was as far as that dog mentality, I mean, everybody remembers Joey Porter at Pittsburgh, right? They've always had great defenses. I think he is your best fit. But if you guys don't want to draft corner right away, I wouldn't. You know, if one of those other physical edge rushers get in there or D lineman that you can get, I would say take them first because it always helps out your secondary. And then what you can do, I'm gonna throw a name at you. There's this kid from Stanford. His name is Kyu Blue Kelly. Kyu Kelly. He's a physical corner. He's fast, which is something that Joey Porter's not. And I mean, he's stuck on kids like glue in college and in the Senior Bowl too. He's a senior too, so you know, he's going to come into the NFL with a little bit of age on him, but the thing is about him is he's probably the next best physical corner that you're going to get. I know a lot of people. I know you've seen the videos too. Probably a lot of people have been screaming Christian Gonzalez. That cat's not going to be good for the Eagles. If what you're telling me is what you need, he's not going to be that guy.
Well, that's just what I want. That doesn't mean that's specifically what my team wants, you know. But if you're asking me what I want, I want a dominant physical corner, you know. I want somebody in that sense, not someone who gets beat. We'll put it that way.
Yeah. I mean, Devin Witherspoon is probably the best one. I honestly think this is going to happen, though. I for some, and we've seen crazy stuff happen in the draft, right? I can honestly see Christian Gonzalez being the first cornerback off the board, and maybe you guys scoop up Devin Witherspoon, and he's like A1 steak sauce, the best corner in the draft by far. You know, so that's who you can get. I think
I'm so lucky.
Yeah, it would be crazy. It would be crazy. But honestly, from me watching you guys, I think you guys kind of need like a guy that's super fast to keep up with Terry McLaurin and CeeDee Lamb on routes. There's this white kid out of Iowa. His name is Riley Moss. You've probably seen the interview on our channel. Get that kid if you can, because the only thing in his toolkit that he's missing, he was the fastest guy out there. He said he's gonna run like a 4.3 at the combine. I had asked him, I said, how fast do you think you're gonna run? He said, 4.3. I said, damn. But if you at the boards and everything that we had and all the stats that we were scanning, he was definitely the fastest one there. But he played like that in college. I mean, he played at Iowa, so he's used to the cold weather too, and playing all those teams with the speedy wide receivers and that. But if you get him, you won't have to worry about CeeDee Lamb, Jahan Dotson, all those speed guys. You ain't gonna have to worry about that because Riley Moss is gonna be on like glue. The only thing that he's missing is just that physicality. But you ain't gonna worry about him like breaking off of a receiver or anything like that. He's got that track speed, man. And you guys might like that. You guys might like that heavy. But I would say if you guys could scoop him up in like the 4th or something like that, let's just say one of these guys, Christian Gonzalez, Devin Witherspoon, Joey Porter Jr. falls in your lap. Go get Riley Moss. Just go get him and pick him up just to have. Because in the slot, he's gonna be a monster.
You know, that's the thing though, man. I'm not convinced that Howie would take a corner at 10. That is and the only reason I say that is because we never do that. Now, granted, people can sit there and say, "Well, you never took a wide receiver." You're right, we haven't. But I don't look at corner being as a big of a need as what our wide receiver room was when we needed a wide receiver, if you know what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it is a need, yes. But like you said, do I believe there's a guy that they probably look at in the second round and is like, I might be able to make that work?
Yep.
So there's reasons that I always keep that in mind, and I always go with linemen first off the board because that is how Howie builds. He always has said it. I will
There's
always
just better value too, because if you have a defensive back core that's lacking in some areas, if they're young, and it always helps them is your defensive backs. That's always what helps.
Sorry, I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing at Skip there.
Yeah.
That's funny. No, listen, man. I remember seeing Christian McCaffrey come out of Stanford, and I must admit I'm pretty fast for a white boy, but damn, that kid was fast.
I loved Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah, dude. I wanted him so bad because at the time we needed a halfback, and I believe he was taken. What was it, 8th, 9th?
Mm-hmm.
And we were sitting at like 12. So we were like really close, but I was like, damn, yeah, he's the exception to the rule. He's I don't know, man. Christian, he's just built different, man. CMC's a monster.
Yeah, but how many white boy cornerbacks have you seen ever play that were good, except for Jason Sehorn? Yeah, exactly. And he wasn't fast like Riley Moss is. Riley Moss might be the fastest in the draft.
That's insane. Why would you ask me that question?
Because you can't think it.
That's a lot of history, man.
We're going back to the Billie Holiday days, man. You know what I'm talking about? In my solitude, there ain't none, bro.
There really isn't. That's actually very sad. Listen here, white boys. You need to start being corners a little bit and step up your game, man. Represent the white boys for corners. Come on.
Yeah, I don't know why that's a position that's just like it is racially dominated by black dudes. Like it just is what it is.
I'm cool with it, but hell, man, I always thought my strongest suit out of corner and wide receiver was corner. Like I love playing corner because you can sit back there and read the quarterback and just react. It's a lot easier than just. Yeah, I don't know, man. That's crazy. I've never actually been asked that question, so kudos.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people look for like kickers and punters, but you're seeing a lot more guys from different races play that. I mean, you're seeing guys come over from Australia now. You got. I know Matt Ariza got into this stuff, but he's, I think he's Mexican or something like that. And you're starting to see more Hispanic kickers and things like that happen. And then you got, what's his name? Percy.
Though, Australian kickers, man, they're not making a good name for themselves because Sipos is really pissing us off over here.
Is he from Australia?
He's Australian. Yeah.
Was he a rugby guy?
I have no idea. I don't know his backstory, but I'll tell you what, man, he's pretty poop. I must admit, for an Aussie, I expect more, man.
Yeah. The rare breeds. Maybe he'll go down to the XFL or something if he sucks. Get a second chance there. USFL, XFL, one of them.
I just hope he ain't wearing my jersey next year, man. Like, I'm sorry, 2 years of him, I can't take it anymore. Dude, I never realized how important a punter was until you ain't got one no more. Johnson was here for so many years, dude, punting for us. He was just that white dude that just came out twice a game and just kicked the ball, Mm-hmm. Now that we don't have him, I'm like, fuck, I want a punter. Like, it's
Facts.
It's sad. It's hard to find someone who can actually kick a ball right.
Well, I mean, the guy that's out there, and I know he just got in a little bit of trouble when we mentioned him, Matt Ariza is still out there. They dropped the charges on that kid.
Oh, you mean the guy from Buffalo?
Yeah, they dropped the charges on him. He's looking for a job. I think he's like signed up to play in some soccer league right now. So, but I'm like,
isn't that the one that kicked the cap off a Gatorade bottle?
that was Evan McPherson that plays for the Bengals. He's the kicker for the Bengals. He's the one that kicked
that was amazing.
Matt Ariza will punt a ball like 70 yards down the field. I mean, they called him punt god in college. He was awesome. And then he got into that trouble with that alleged rape charge or whatever, man. But they dropped it and they figured out it was bullshit. So
and Lee White guy still got kicking locked up. Yeah, no doubt.
Hey, unless you're the kid from the Steelers, Preston Harvin or Marquette King.
Dude, okay, first off, I figured out who Harvin was because my boy has him on his Madden fantasy team. And the only reason that I realized it was because in Madden they have him portrayed very large.
He is.
Large.
He's a big guy. You think he's I'm like, who the hell is this damn linebacker about to punt, bro?
Right? Yeah. So I'm sitting there and I asked him, I said, Top, I said, why the hell do you got a big dude punting the ball? He's like, oh, that's our punter. I'm like, what? He's like, yeah. He's like, we just got him this year in the draft. He's the only punter to go. I was like, are you serious? He's like, yeah, he's actually that big. And then he sent me a picture. I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah, he's a big boy, man. I mean, you ain't got to worry about no kicker, punter interference, bro, because he ain't getting called for them.
No. He'll lay you out, dude. He's huge.
He's going down there as a gunner on the punt team. He's about to go tackle somebody.
So, the next one that we got, Miles Murphy. What's he about?
Miles Murphy is consistent. That's one thing I'll say about him. So he's played at Clemson. He's been around some great defensive linemen as well. So to be completely honest with you, he's not one of those guys that's going to stand out as like this dominant force, but I think what you're going to get from him is, of course, consistency. And one thing that I think you guys have lacked most in, which he's probably the best in this class at doing, is those outside runs or being able to stuff in the middle of the field. He's a really good tackler. Even more than Will Anderson can be sometime in open field. So if that's what you're getting with Miles Murphy, he's a big kid too to be an edge rusher. But he's 6'5", 275 pounds, and they're listing him as an edge rusher. I think he had like 6.5 sacks last year or something like that. But 5-star recruit out of high school, man. So he was top of the top. So, some things that, are concerns, man. He's very, very linear for an edge rusher. So you know how we were saying about Von Miller and Will Anderson, how they're very like, get your arms out there, do whatever you can to be disruptive. The thing with Miles Murphy that gets him the most flack is when I say he's linear, I mean, he's literally, if I can't push him out the way or get him out my way, he's kind of stuck outside of tackling on the run. So if you want somebody that's more versatile, there's more versatile guys out there, but he's good at the two things that I mentioned. He's good at being very, very strong up front and moving offensive linemen out the way. But he's not going to be one of those guys that jump up in the air and bats down the ball or tries to get his hand in there on a running back to try to stop the run. He'll get on the other side of that though. So he's a really good tackler on the outside.
Now, do you feel that's something that could be teached, or is that just something he'll never be able to do just because of his size?
To be honest, he should probably move to interior and see how that would be done. I think it's because of his size. I think you have Tyree Wilson on this list too, right? From Texas Tech.
Yep.
Yeah, so that's a perfect segue into Tyree Wilson. Now, Tyree Wilson is a big boy too. But the thing about Tyree Wilson, he's going to be bang or bust for sure. Dude is 6'6", 275 pounds as well. But he doesn't move. He takes really large steps, but he's not the fastest. But the dude looks like a damn superhero. So I think his skill set you can teach because he kind of has that disruptiveness. Tackling, he needs, an open field. He'll need to get better at that too. But if you want somebody that's just a physical force that can go up and bat down the ball, that can play both sides of the football, he played some interior lineman too. Was pretty good there. So very versatile guy, but you can teach his skill set because really, when you watch his tape, when I watched his tape on the channel, I want to say about a month ago, I wasn't overly impressed, but I came out of there saying, damn, if he gets a good coach, he's gonna be a demon. He's gonna be the next best great thing if somebody can teach him how to play the edge position and tell him to build his confidence and his running ability too, because he's slow. You know what I'm saying? He's like that big Lego block that you don't really know what to do with, but you can but you can build upon it. He's like that. We can build your skill set, but how do we do it? Do what?
Is he a flat footer?
Not
he runs flat footed.
Miles Murphy's,
I mean? Like
yeah. Miles Murphy is more flat footed. Tyree Wilson is more like goofy. You know what I'm saying? Like when you see him, he's like, he just doesn't. You just have to watch his tape, man. He's a weird guy to watch because he's like that big kid at the football field that's too big but doesn't know how to play football yet.
Okay.
That's the best way I can explain it. It's like, damn, if somebody can teach you how to play football, you're gonna be good.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, he's like the hey you guys kind of guy right now. He's goofy, bro.
So my fourth guy on this list is Andre Carter.
Andre Carter, I'm not a big fan of. I think Andre Carter's skill set is, and he played at Army. Mm-hmm. Andre Carter's skill set is what people have the big eyes over. He's tall. He's got that lanky build for an edge rusher, and that's one of the guys that we were watching when we went to the Senior Bowl too. He was getting his shit pushed in, AK, to be completely honest with you. A lot of people weren't impressed with him, but he was getting damn destroyed. He was getting his salad tossed the whole practice.
Well, that's crazy.
Yeah, so I'm not as high on him. I mean, the kid's 6'7", 260 pounds, but he looks like he's 6'7", 230. Like, put him at running back and just see what he does. He might be the next, Derrick Henry. But yeah, he really needs to improve on. For him to look such like an athlete, he's not that athletic either. He's even less athletic than Tyree Wilson that we were talking about, to me. So, but yeah, like Sora said, Keon White over Tyree, man, like he's not great. A lot of people love this guy, but every time I see a video on him, I'm like, man, he's gonna be some work. Skill set wise, he might have it. Intangibles wise, I don't see it yet. Because those left tackles were getting on his ass, man.
Yeah, now I must say, man, out of the five that we're naming, my favorite that I would like to see at least on this team is BJ Ojulari. And if I'm not mistaken, that is the brother of Ojulari from the Giants.
I believe so. I'm not sure if that's kin to him or not, but yeah, BJ Ojulari out of Michigan. Yep. He's probably up there with Will Anderson as far as like speed is concerned. A lot of finesse moves kind of guy. Again, I'll harp on it again. Like, he's a cold weather guy too, knows what it's like to get in there. He played a little inside, and they actually pushed him back to play some outside linebacker as well at Michigan. So, but that's DN and outside linebacker is just a fancy way of saying edge rusher, but there really are two different things. If I remember right, I've seen him play the weak side of the field. So if you guys are looking for a weak side backer, because I think TJ Edwards is kind of the same way, and you guys might be losing him. He might be a good replacement for TJ Edwards and see what he does at linebacker. I really like DJ Ojulari, bro. I know you mentioned Andre Carter. I'm probably putting Ojulari probably in that 3 or 4 position right now, with all the edge rushers that are coming out. I even dropped Miles Murphy a little bit. I think it's Will Anderson, Keon White to me, but maybe I'm just a fanboy of Keon White, I'll admit it. But and then we got DJ Ojulari, bro. He's a beast. 6'3", 244, so he's definitely small. But yeah, not Michigan. I'm thinking of, dude, he looks so much like this other kid to me. I've been saying that a lot. LSU. He played at LSU. I keep thinking of his offensive lineman that we saw at Michigan that looks just like this guy. But yeah, BJ Ojulari came out of LSU. He's great, man. 5.5 sacks this year, 5 tackles for loss, 35 tackles. So again, if you're trying to beef up somebody that's a tackling machine, you try him out and see what he's about. I like him a lot.
Yeah, no, I like him too, and I think he's going to work out wherever he goes. Like I said, I'm not sure exactly where he's projected to go at what round, but if you can get him in the second, just to kind of add some depth to that edge, I'm
He's
all
probably gonna
for
be
it.
like a second round guy. So if he's there, I would definitely look at him.
Yeah, kind of. Who was the guy that Baltimore got in the second? The one that
He's the
the
other
edge
man.
rusher,
Yeah,
the
talking
one
about
that was
Michigan
injured.
guys.
Yeah, the one that was injured all last year. I
Uh,
can't think of his name. You know who I'm talking about, though, right?
yeah. He played with Aiden Hutchinson.
Yeah.
Uh,
I kind of
Dang, why
look
can't
at
I
it.
remember his name? He's
I
got a
know
crazy
it.
name too.
I know, and it irks me because I had it earlier and now I don't have it anymore. But I kind of look at Ojulari the way I looked at him, just
Yeah,
maybe a little bit more polished. Ajabo, thank you.
David Ojabo. Yeah. David Ojabo was he was nuts too at Michigan.
I'm
I think
interested to see him this year, dude. This coming season, he should be playing, and I'm gonna watch him. I think he's gonna do very well.
if as long as Patrick Queen doesn't leave, Roquan, Patrick Queen, David Ojabu, Adafe Owe, bro,
Yeah,
and if Justin Houston decides to stay, like his old ass was really good this year. He was up there and for the most sacks at one point. They got a hell of a squad.
yeah.
Tyus Bowser's got some reps in this year for the Ravens too.
Hamilton's there.
Who?
Hamilton, he's there.
Oh yeah. Hey, you remember when people were saying Kyle Hamilton was too small for the position? Look at him, bro. One of the best safeties in the
Too
league.
small.
Yeah.
Isn't he 6'4"? How's he too small?
Hey, I didn't say it.
Since when was 6'4" too small?
I remember when they were saying
we
they might try him
talking
at a linebacker.
Are we talking weight too small or height too small? Because height
Frame.
is too small.
This specific person that I'm talking about said his frame is too small.
Oh well.
He was like a top 5 safety.
I liked him. Like I told you, if the way I looked at it in the draft is at when we went and got Jordan Davis. If we got Jordan Davis, it was going to be he wasn't so flashy this year, but in the long run, he's going to be an amazing player. But if we went Kyle Hamilton, he's going to be your playmaker right now. Like you will see results from Hamilton instantly. He will be on the board and he will make plays.
I honestly think if you guys had Kyle Hamilton instead of Jordan Davis, you guys would have been undefeated most likely.
Don't say that.
I'm just putting it out there, bro. Dude was a top 5 safety.
I know.
He was a top 5, and that was the one thing that you guys like constantly like, oh my god, who are we gonna get at safety this week? And then Reed Blankenship that came in,
yeah,
and
but no
okay.
one was taking account for that. CJ Johnson would be out for what 8 fucking weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, no, I get it. I think. Even still, a lot of us have a lot of high hopes for Blankenship. I still believe that, Blankenship's going to be good, but we still need depth there.
Yeah.
I'm all for taking a safety in this draft. I believe our defense is way more of a concern than what our offense is. We're not nearly losing the amount of players on offense that we are defense. So
Yeah. I mean, hindsight's always 20/20, right? But you just hate as a team that know you there was probably in your grasp to get, Kevin Kyle Hamilton right there is one of those ones that's like it probably hurts for you to see him play on Sundays and do so well because he was right there.
Only thing I was pissed at is that he went to Baltimore because Baltimore always has great safeties. you know, and it's like, damn it, they
Hmm.
just got another one. So, um, so yeah, working on the interior defensive line, you know, you got Jalen Carter. What do
Jalen
you,
Carter, yeah. I mean, I think everybody knows what Jalen Carter is about. If you didn't, you heard about how dominant that kid was. Jalen Carter's amazing, man. I remember I said this. I said this. I was the first one to say it before everybody was, man. I will drink my own Kool-Aid on this one. Jalen Carter was not the best defensive tackle chosen this year or last year. I said Jalen Carter is still there. And he played about as many snaps as what Jordan Davis played. And he was every bit of, I think, if you're looking at rankings, I think you have Bryce Young number one on big boards, and then you have Jalen Carter number two. And I think it's a big gap between him and Will Anderson, to be completely honest with you. Jalen Carter can play every single position on the defensive line that you need him to play. He's smart. He's got a huge frame, and excuse my French, he's fucking fast, bro. Like, for a big guy, I don't know if you've seen a national championship. He was crazy good in that game. I mean, he was part of the reason why their defense was really the reason why that whole team went up like 50 something points in the national championship and kicked TCU's ass. They couldn't do anything with Jalen Carter. He was making them look silly. And it's exactly what I was telling you before. You got a great defensive line or great pressure on the quarterback. Your defensive backs are going to look good regardless. So with Jalen Carter being there, at number 3 is kind of blasphemous to me when you're looking at player projections. I think he should be the number 2 guy, if not number 1.
yes, you do, sir. I am waiting. I'll send you a few samples just so you know. So now listen, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to fuck some of these names up. I'm not. It's just going to happen. So I apologize.
Is Brian up next? Brian Bresee?
Oh no, this one I know. It's the one after that. That's the one I'm going to have the issue with. But yeah,
Uh-oh.
Brian Bresee, right?
Bresee, yeah.
Bresee,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Brian Bresee, he's hard to evaluate, man. But I could say one thing: his sister passed away from cancer this year, and he played absolutely incredible, man, throughout adversity. Another 5-star kid out of high school as well. He's probably, outside of Jalen Carter, probably the most athletic interior D lineman. I don't know if they're going to tease him to be on the outside, like in an edge situation. I would be interested to see that because he's so athletic. But there's not a lot of bad things to say about him. Another guy that's not, using the word like, he's not the sexiest in interior defensive lineman, but damn sure he can tackle, man. That's one thing. I mean, him and Jalen Carter are probably the best at that. Right up the middle, get a tackle in, and you're going to make sure his presence in the middle of the field. I really liked him at Clemson. I mean, he always gives Florida State headaches. So, I got to see him every single year that he was there. But yeah, the battling through adversity when they played in that Wake Forest game this year, and just how emotional he was. He made a big play at the end of that game, I remember, from last year. And and Wake Forest was no joke. Wake Forest is no joke. And the other thing about him too is Clemson's defense ran so many different schemes. So when Brett Venables their defensive coordinator went to Oklahoma to be their head coach, he had to learn a completely new defense. So if we talk about probably the most scheme diverse guy on the interior, it's probably him. So you're not going to, there's not a place that he can't fit on the interior defensive line. So I really like that about Brian Bresee too. I mean, you have to include that stuff. Like if they're going to be book smart and in the film room, and understanding coverages and where their position is and able to play, at different points of the ball. They always talk about like that 3 technique that's able to play off the tackle onto the tight end. He can play that too. So He's good, man. I really like Brian Brzee. He's probably. I know you have Saaki Ika on there too, and I'm a big.
I'm glad you said it. Thanks.
Yeah. Is he the next one on your list?
How do you say it?
Sayaki Ika.
I was close enough.
Yeah, Sayaki Ika from Baylor, man, absolute demon. What's the guy from Tampa Bay? I'm drawing a blank on his name. The big Samoan guy on Tampa Bay.
Yeah, it's oh shit, I know this one.
Yeah, it's on the tip of my tongue too. He has like a short name as well.
Isn't it like Tay?
Tampa Bay. Hold on.
Shit.
I'm gonna Google it. We're at computers. We can just Google it.
Yeah, right. I know, but Vita Vey. Yeah. Thank you, Vita Vey. Vita Vey. Yeah,
Vita Vey. Yeah, Vita Vey. Right. So he's the next Vita Vey. Big guy.
I like that.
So I'll tell you a little thing about him. He's a winner, man, wherever he's going. So Vita Vey and Siaki Ika are like the same frame. He is really good on the defensive line, run stuffer. I mean, he's kind of like two people in one when you look at the middle of the field. Now, the thing about him, the Baylor team that they had on defense, especially on their line, would be nothing without this guy. And he was part of that 2019 national championship team with Joe Burrow, where they had every single name. I mean, throw out the names. Joe Burrow, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, the two Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, Patrick Queen, Grant Delpit at safety, Darius Stingley Jr. at cornerback. We got to mention Sayaki Ika. He was part of that team too, and then he transferred to Baylor, and Baylor won the Big 12 championship last year, and he was a big part of that, man. He's great. I have nothing bad to say about Sayaki Ika, outside of the fact that he's not going to be your fastest and and do stuff like that. So, but Sayaki Ika is definitely a guy that like if he's sitting there like the third or fourth round, you pick up if you're having trouble, especially with teams that are running the ball up the gut on you, aka Jacksonville.
Is he Hawaiian?
He is. Yeah, he's a Oos.
That makes me all more want him.
Yeah. He is a Samoan, man. Yeah, you already know those guys. They come with it.
Oh yeah, no man, they're masters at pushing people around. I mean, that's what they do. So
yeah, and they're going to give you every single second, every single minute, every single quarter of what they got. So you definitely, and that's what he was known for, man. He could definitely stay out there like 96% of the snaps if you need him to. What are your thoughts on Noah Sewell? Man, you're tugging at my heartstrings right there. I love Noah Sewell, but a lot of people are not going to rate him as high. He's another Hawaiian Samoan Oos kind of guy, man. Everybody knows his brother Panay Sewell, right? So
yes,
Noah Sewell is very diverse. So if you're looking at, I'm not saying he's Ray Lewis, but if you're looking at like a Ray Lewis type, actually bad comparison. I'll give you one better. Brian Urlacher.
You're poking my ears when you say Ray Lewis. I mean, that's noteworthy.
Yeah. I would say Ray Lewis-ish, other side, Brian Urlacher-ish is more like what he's like. Because of the fact Brian Urlacher, Luke Kuechly was like this too. So you kind of put all of them in a bowl and you mix it up. This is who Noah Sewell is to me, skill set wise. He's great as a coverage / I'm gonna tackle you wherever you are, sideline to sideline kind of guy, like Brian Urlacher and the rest of those guys were. They weren't known to be like, outside of Luke Kuechly, to be like a sack monster. But this is what Noah Sewell can do for your team. The only struggle with him is he didn't play at like a big boy conference like the Big 12 or the Big 10 or the SEC. So you don't really know if he can deal with like those bigger guys, or like what would he do in a one-on-one situation up against Derrick Henry is one thing that I always wonder about. But Noah Sewell can definitely keep up with the fastest guys out there playing in the Pac-12. So that's what you're getting with
Is
with
he
Noah
like a
Sewell.
Hufanga at linebacker?
The Troy Polamalu kind of
yeah.
like
Let's
no risk,
put
no
it that way,
high risk, high reward kind of player. Yeah, he's you know he plays linebacker, so that it is different. But yeah, if you're looking for the high risk, high reward type of player, but he's safer than that too. I think if you find him like at the end of the second round or the third round, and you really need like a linebacker that you can build upon in the future, Noah Sewell is that guy, man. And he's a team player. His teammates love him. So if you talk about that brotherhood type of atmosphere on these teams, you draft him to be a long-term player for a long time, and he'll give you
Well,
everything that he's got.
and I believe every Eagle fan will agree with me when I say this. When you look at this past season's roster, defensively, our linebacking core was probably our weakest spot. You know,
Yeah.
um, and I think we've all realized now how much a Fred Warner or and a Greenlaw means. And I think we kind of are looking for that main middle linebacker that is a Fred Warner type kind of linebacker.
You guys were looking. Kaiser White disappointed me, but he didn't disappoint me at the same time because there was a lot of guys trying to stand out on that defense, and he kind of got put on the back burner a little bit.
Yeah.
And I think he was playing in the wrong role. If his role was go out there and go tackle everybody, that's what you need to bring Kaiser White in. So I don't think he necessarily fits your team. But again, if you go after somebody like Noah Sewell, you're getting a versatile guy on every single front of what you need for a linebacker. And like I said, if you can build upon him as well down the road. So he played at
Well,
Oregon.
and in all honesty, man, people like I get it. I know a lot of people look at our linebacking core this year, and yes, they were bad, but I think they were bad just because everyone else was so great. Like in all honesty, I don't feel that Kaiser White and TJ Edwards played bad. It's like you said earlier, it's just everyone else around them just outshined so much. It made them look a lot worse than what they truly were playing.
And then think about it, AK, 70 sacks on the season. Nobody's going to care about the 10 tackle game that Kaiser White had. They're going to look at Hassan Reddick getting 1.5 sacks during that game and say that he was absolutely incredible. I mean, it's like offensive line, right? How many times have you seen like, oh my God, did you see the block that the offensive lineman put on him? Said no one fucking ever. You know what I'm saying?
Well, only when Kelsey's one arm stiff arming someone straight to hell.
Facts. It's got to be something that jumps off. Yeah, it's got to be.
I mean, not only is the man 35 years old, grandpaing it out here and shoving people down into the ground that are twice his age younger, but
yeah,
he deserves that credit. The man works his ass off, so.
Well, I mean, how many times are this season where you guys you had them in deep yardage situations? So Kaiser White's not going to stand out that much because you guys are relying on your DBs. Wasn't James Bradbury and Darius Slay all pros this year?
Yep.
So, I mean, that tells you right there. They were getting thrown the ball a lot. So what is Kaiser White going to do? Just stand in the middle of the field the whole time while they're dumping it downfield on you guys? Like, Kaiser White's not going to stand out on a 3rd and 14. You know what I'm saying? Because they aren't going to run the ball.
Yeah.
So it could be the system. It could be the situation that you guys got put in. The best tacklers seem like the dumbest tackler. Put it like this: the best tacklers that have ever been on NFL teams have never played for a undefeated team. Like, if Brian Urlacher ever played for the fucking New England Patriots, we wouldn't be talking about Brian Urlacher because he would never get the shine.
No, in fact, man, that's one thing I am grateful for, because I believe we're around the same age. We got to grow up in the Brian Urlacher era. We got to see.
That's my era. Zach Thomas.
Probably the best white linebacker you'll ever see in your life. I mean, listen, Kuechly was amazing, but I don't put Kuechly on Urlacher's level. I mean,
I don't put him on Zach Thomas's level.
Yeah, I mean, Kuechly was amazing for his time. He's probably the best linebacker for his time frame and draft class. But when we're talking like all time, I can't put him over Urlacher. I can't. Urlacher was just that dog. He
I-
was Ray Lewis for the Bears for many
and
years, 12 years.
think about it. AK, was Brian Urlacher ever like on dominant teams year after year? No.
No,
Was Luke
he
Kuechly
was
ever
the
on dominant teams year after year? No. Was Zach Thomas ever on dominant teams year after year? Hell no. The best linebackers are on shitty teams. It just is what it is.
Yeah. No, and I agree with you, man. I don't think they will because I believe Nakobe Dean will get his shot this year, and rightfully so. He should. You know, I did hear this year he didn't play because he was learning both positions, Mike and Will. So, you know, it's really hard though to sit here and say anything because we don't know who our defensive coordinator is going to be. I have no idea what scheme we're going to be running. It could be a 4-3, it could be a 3-4, or we could have literally a coach just like JG. We're running anything. I don't know, you know. So, but there is definitely positions of need. It's just really hard to pinpoint which ones.
Yeah, it definitely is. Like, I give JG his credit with this. You guys want weapons. You guys want this. You guys want that. That's fine. But Kaiser White was new to the team. James Bradbury was new. CJ Gardner Johnson was new. Nakobe Dean was new. Jordan Davis was new. So you have 5 guys out of 11 guys that were coming in and out. And several of those guys that stayed in for the majority of the time that were new to that defense. So you're asking a lot of your defensive coordinator to go mesh with these guys right away.
Yep.
Guys did it for the most part. The goal was to get to the Super Bowl, and you did that. So that's one thing where, like, when JG got fired, I was like, I mean, you can say what you want, but that's a tall task for a defensive coordinator to put together a damn amazing team right off the get. You know, so
No, I get it, and I kind of put more of that on our culture that we've built in the locker room. I mean, I would like to think that, you know, yeah, how he built this team over the offseason, but a lot of that starts with the coaches. A lot of that starts with Jalen. I mean, he is the leader of this team, and he sets the tone and the locker room mood, and you know, it is a family thing to them. So you got to get guys that gel together. You know, you can't have a guy like, we'll say, Russell Wilson, who's all about stats and me, in a group of people who just want nothing but the best for one another. You know, you have to gel to be successful, and that's something we did do this year. I just hate how JG waited till the very end to fumble. You know, because he did so great so much, and I said it. I feel he just totally lacked preparation defensively for the Super Bowl. Like when we had 2 uncontested touchdowns in a Super Bowl, when we've never had that all year long. Like, dude, that's lack of preparation. Like, Maddox and Slay were out there, and it looked like that was the first game they ever played together. Their communication was just terrible. To me, that's on coaching. Like, you need to be on that shit. You had 2 weeks to prep this. You know what I mean? So,
yeah, and I mean, it's always the coach is going to get it worse than the players at the end of the day, unless the players did something like really, really, really bad. And unfortunately, JG got the short end of the stick. I mean, as a leader, you gotta take a credit, credibility for what you've done and what you've put together, especially with 2 weeks of preparation, because he just made, you know, guys like Juju and Sky Moore and Kadarius Toney that have barely, again, I mean, you can use the same excuse for them because they had 5 starting rookies on their team, and Kadarius Toney that been in with that team, you know, a short amount of time, and they meshed together.
Yeah,
really,
but they
quick.
had one thing we didn't in the second half. A
Good
doped up
special teams.
quarterback.
Oh yeah.
Yo, that dude was high as a kite. I don't care what anyone says, bro. He was out there moving that jaw, tongue out, licking lips, like Yeah, Pat.
Oh,
Pat
he had the Aaron Rodgers. Remember that? Had the
he
cotton
was on
mouth.
some painkillers, bro. I don't care what anyone says. That dude was high as shit. He walked out of that tunnel after halftime and was like, "Wow, this place really lit
They
up."
gave him the Joe Budden. He said, "Pump me up, bro. Let
Yeah,
me get back up there."
dude. Like when he took off running for like that 30-yard play in the third, I want to say, towards the end. Like, dude, there was no pain in that man's face. Like, he was not feeling nothing from the neck down. He was feeling good. You know what I
Yep.
mean? So, yeah, that was funny. Anyway, so yeah. Oh fuck, this name, Kalja Konsi. I don't fucking know, man. Like, Cal
Kalajay Cansey. Yeah, Kalajay
Cancer.
Cansey from that's a kid from Pittsburgh, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think he's like 6 foot. He's fairly short, if I remember right. And that was like his biggest thing. I didn't see a bunch of games from Cansey. One thing I do know from when we did a little bit of research on him in the past, he's like super duper fast. I have to watch more tape on him, but the one thing that's gonna get him in the most trouble is he's a short, fat dude. Like, I mean, I say that respectfully. He's a short, fat, athletic dude. I mean, he's 6 foot, 275 pounds, and playing interior lineman. So, I mean, you tend to see that more often, but I think there's one more guy that's better than him coming out in this draft. And you'll like this kid because you like rowdy dudes that get in your face, bro. I'll tell you who's better than Cansey. The Nesta J. Silvera, he's on the list. We've seen him at the Senior Bowl. He's out of Arizona State. He used to play. God, where did he play? I believe he played at like Auburn or something like that. So he played in the SEC for a little bit. This dude was going in practice, bro. I wish I had this shit recorded. John Lynch, that's my favorite player, bro. I got a picture of him up there. Got a signed helmet back there, bro. That's my guy. But Nesta J. Silvera from Arizona State, bro. He was in practice the last day, and he was, I don't know what offensive line that he played with in the SEC, but he was giving that dude to work. And he had got him on one rep, and he you could hear him from the stands, bro. I wish I was recording this shit because it was one of the greatest moments. He got done with his rep, put this dude on his ass. He said, "Come on, bro." He's like, "You should already know. I've been getting you all. I've been doing the same shit for 5 years to you." I mean, he was getting at this man. So if you want a rowdy little dude, he's about 6'2", 205. Oh, sorry, 6'2", 305. Nesta J. Silvera from Arizona State. If you want somebody that's rowdy, get in your face, that dude is fucking hilarious, bro. But yeah, he's a good player too.
yeah. I don't know how many CJ Johnsons we can have on this team before people start getting punched. So maybe we should just keep it with CJ.
Oh, bro, he was
I
rowdy.
love CJ, man. CJ, he's the right type of mouthy. You know.
Mm-hmm.
What I love about him, though, is he can control it. He'll make you pissed so you swing on him, and then he won't retaliate. You know, I like that about him.
Facts.
He knows how to get you, and I like that. You know, when you get into someone's head, dude, you've already won. So I like it.
Yeah, he's awesome, man. I haven't really watched CJ Gardner Johnson like that at the Saints until he got with you guys. I knew he was good, but as far as like how amazing that he was this year, actually, let's put it like this. I don't think anybody thought that he was going to be that great for you guys. They knew he was going to be like top 10, maybe top 12, but the dude went from like top 12 to one, 2, or 3 on somebody's eyes.
Yeah.
Like, so you slap that franchise tag on that boy quick.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like there's no doubt. Now, Randy brought up a good point here, and I want to ask you because I know this is probably going to get talked about somewhere down the line. It's going to be brought up. Do you see at any point, or if there is even any need to bring back Sue or Joseph? Somebody to help the interior line, you know, with Davis in his second year, if they choose not to bring back Cox.
Unless they really like somebody in the draft that they know that they can get. I think you guys just need to get younger. Those guys are on their last legs. They did what they were supposed to do. I think, it's kind of like that dude in the fight. You punch him right in the solar plexus, and he's got that last little bit of wind that he got left. That's what they put in for you guys. I don't think you just need to get younger there and just make sure that you tell Jordan Davis that he's the guy moving forward. Yeah, I don't think Joseph or Sue's going to be back with you guys. Just let them go. I mean, they were only on half a year deal anyway, so just go ahead and get their money off the books. I wouldn't. To me, I would, if I was you, AK, like if you were the GM, and I was the assistant GM, I would be like, nah, it ain't worth it to bring back these dudes when we could pick up probably two or not only another younger guy in free agency, but we can draft maybe 2 defensive tackles if we really need to, and get them on cheaper deals and boost those guys up. And I'm sure you guys probably have somebody on the practice squad too that's probably ready to go heading into this year that knows the system too. So I don't know. There's a couple things that you can look at.
Oh, sorry. AK, is that young man that K Gate? Huh? I don't know what you're asking, Scoob. Do you know what he means by that?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
Nah.
Elaborate, sir. I'm confused. So then the last one for the DT that I have is Mozzie Smith.
Mozzie Smith. I didn't really watch him a lot, to be completely honest with you. Let me check my notes, see if I got anything on Mozzie Smith. He's the kid from Michigan I was getting confused with earlier. that's who it was. Senior. I know that 6'3", 326 pounds. The things I had on him, like I said, I didn't watch a ton of his reps. More so their offensive lineman at Michigan was the beast this year, AK, to be completely honest with you. So I guess you can say that's upside for him as he practiced against like an amazing offensive line. Olawatimi, that was the left guard. He was the Remington Award winner, which is the highest outstanding award that you can get in college for being an offensive lineman. So he got that. But I believe he's really, really good at the pass rush. So he's not kind of like a run stopping guy. So I would definitely mark him off your list for that, because you got Jordan Davis, and you're probably gonna need another D tackle that's gonna kind of do the same thing with run stuffing. But I mean, especially if you're gonna deal with Tony Pollard and Ezekiel Elliott one more year, you're gonna need that. But yeah, I don't have a lot on him. Hey, I know one thing that he does have that I wrote down when I watched some of Michigan's games, that he stood out. His arms are really short. So for a D tackle, I don't know. That was the one thing that stood out to him, man. Short. He's a short arm bastard. 6'3", 326.
So he's a Matthew McConaughey. Okay.
Yeah. He's a Matthew McConaughey straight up.
Little T-Rex arms.
Yeah. So Mozzie Smith is definitely not on the high list for me when it comes to players. So if that tells you anything right there. I'll probably watch some more Michigan games here soon. Preparing going into next season, but I'm not super impressed with him in the interior. I mean, Byron Young from Alabama, I would put him up there. He's pretty good. Keanu Benton, if you have him remotely thinking of his name, AK, take him off your list. The dude got that guy I told you about from Michigan, Olawatimi.
Yeah,
I have a video on our channel, him getting destroyed by that dude, like every rep. I mean, so, and a lot of people like Keanu Benton, but he's not a good D tackle. I hate to say, it's such a double-edged sword talking about guys that have come out in the draft, because you don't want them to be bad because they're such young guys. But and then another guy from South Carolina, Zach Pickens, man, he's pretty all right too. I would put both of them above Mozzie Smith. So.
Okay. Now, this is where it gets fun, because I know a lot of people are looking at this position, and even halftime said trade Darius Slay. He's making too much money. More like maybe just renegotiate if you have to. But you can't let Slay and Bradbury both walk, because then you just completely diminish this defense to the point of no return. You have to
And,
keep one.
and who's
You
your
know?
superstar veteran after you get rid of one of those guys?
Yeah, so you got to keep one. And obviously, it's probably going to be Slay. I mean, there's probably no ifs, ands, or buts there.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I am all for addressing the cornerback position. Whether we do it in 10, whether we do it in 30, whether we do it round 2, round 3, round 4, it's probably going to be done. It's going to have to be, or who knows, maybe Howie just goes out and brings another vet in. I have no idea what his plan is.
Mm-hmm.
But the one that probably everyone, if we would go at 10, that is looking at it, and hopefully he would be there, would be Devin Witherspoon.
Yeah, Devin Witherspoon, 6 foot, 180 pounds. Now, when you talk about like the prototypical size for a cornerback, that's perfect. You don't want him to be too heavy, but you want him to be tall enough to be able to do pass breakups and stuff, especially practicing against somebody like AJ Brown, right? So there's not a ton of like bad things you can say about him. Tremendous ball skills is the first thing. The first thing that stands out to me. You're talking about a guy that can get a hand in there on every single play. You remember how much we were talking about Sauce Gardner last year?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't want to say Sauce Gardner because Sauce Gardner even proved me wrong because I thought he was going to be an absolute bust. And that dude was like, fuck you, I'm better than what you think I am too. So you can't be wrong about some things, but he's your prototypical cornerback that can be the next. He has Darrelle Revis tendencies. Put you on a damn island. Great man corner. If you want somebody that's versatile, that's able to return kicks or punts, you guys had some deficiencies at the special teams. You could probably get him to do that because he has a resume of being on special teams as well. Probably the best tackling cornerback outside of Joey Porter Jr. as well. And that's an underrated trait. Look at what name comes up when you think of prime tackling cornerbacks that are in the NFL right now, that are big guys, that are physical. Jalen Ramsey. You never hear something about, oh, Jalen Ramsey missed a tackle or he's not a physical guy or can get physical with people. So prototypical size, great ball skills, can be good in man coverage because he's just that fast. Great tackler, great in special teams. And Illinois had like a top, at one point they had like a top 25 defense. If they had just a little bit more on the offensive weapon side at Illinois, they could have beat me and somebody else watched the Michigan game this year. Michigan would have lost that game. And Devin Witherspoon was a big part of that on defense. They didn't score a ton of points that game. And he had Ronnie Bell, another wide receiver that's in this draft, by the way, super, super speedy guy. He had Ronnie Bell on that island, man. And that's a feather in his cap right there. Because remember, I was telling you about Riley Moss. They had Riley Moss at the Senior Bowl right on Ronnie Bell the whole time because speed on speed. He was the best guy that can match against himself. You're talking about speedy wide receivers. He's one of them. Devin Witherspoon didn't have a problem. He pretty much took him out of the game. So kudos to this dude, man. He's rising up the ranks for a reason. He's the best in this class.
Well, see, and that's why if we're looking at futuristic, if we're looking at, looking for 5 years down the road, and someone to fill that gap for Jalen and this defense moving forward, if we're building this young team to be, dynamic for the next 6-7 years, then hell, man, everything you just said, sign me up for that one first and foremost. Like, even if you got to go from 10 up a few spots to get him, whatever, like, I'm tired of not having corners. And that's just me as an Eagle fan, and especially this year having Slay and Bradbury. Now that I know it's possible and we've had it, I don't want to lose that. So, whatever you got to do. But yeah, no, I've known who Witherspoon is. I've kept an eye on him. He's very good. He's very good.
Yeah. I think you plug him in right away. You get him NFL experience right away. You put him in the preseason games as much as you can. I know there's a risk of injury all the time, but like this is a guy that needs the reps because the more reps he gets, the more prepared he's going to be ready to go in the NFL. And then learning under somebody like um, Darius Slay is going to be absolutely incredible for his career. If Slay can end out his career handing the torch off to somebody else that's better, like really skill set wise, he's probably better than Slay or could be better than Slay in the future.
Yeah, and no, Skip. What I'm saying is that I'm not saying Jalen plays defense. I'm saying moving forward for the future. If we're looking futuristically, for Jalen to be good on offense, you need to have a good defense. Like
Mm-hmm.
that, defenses win Super Bowls. That is truly what it is. Offenses are just as much of an importance. Jalen needs a good defense to be successful in his career. And what I'm saying is, moving forward, Slay's only going to be here another 2 years. I mean, he's getting up there, you know. So moving forward, if you're serious about that, then Witherspoon's the way to go because then you don't have that hiccup when Slay decides to step down. That's what I'm talking about.
Yep. Exactly.
Plus, he gets to learn under Slay for a year or two. So it just makes sense. That's all I'm saying.
Mm-hmm. Well,
And
he's that next
thanks.
guy.
Appreciate that. Yeah, so Christian Gonzalez. You know, we've already talked to him, about him a little bit. You said you're not too fond of him, but I'll let you go into it more in depth with him.
He's a tall guy, man, but that's pretty much the only thing I can say that I really like about him. He's not physical. He seems quicker than he actually is. Slant routes destroy this kid. CeeDee Lamb or Terry McLaurin or CeeDee Lamb and Jahan Dotson are going to kill him if he comes to the Eagles. Mark my words. If this is the dude that you draft, I would not be happy about this at all. I don't even know why he went up the ranks so fast because the best person on his team was the guy that we talked about before, Noah Sewell, was the best defender on their team. He didn't do anything that impressed me. Now, if you're giving him value on that, okay, maybe Bo Nix was his quarterback and he had to play against him in practice, which I guess you can consider that. But there's been plenty of times you can probably search up a highlight video, and you know me, I'm all about watching the actual tape instead of the highlights. But watch up highlights of all the teams that have probably played against Christian Gonzalez. I bet you he gets burnt 2 or 3 times a game. It's not a dude that you want.
No, dude, we're famous over here for the stop and go, you know, and getting burned on that. So I don't want any corners who are going to get burnt. I don't want any corners who are going to get showed up. You know, like it's
Yeah. He's not a physical guy at all, but you'll draft him for this. If you draft him, you're going to need him to be the lengthy, athletic, instinctual player that he is. Because after 5 yards, within 5 yards, he's great. I'm not short yardage. You're not going to get a screen past him. He can tackle too. Other than that, you put I know we're going to talk about wide receivers. You put damn Jordan Addison on him one-on-one. Jordan Addison will rip him to shreds, like just within his route running ability. And you got a lot of that. I'm telling you, you got a lot of that in the NFC East. He's going to have a tough time. And they're not just going to let them just press them up on the line without them getting some in return. So he can stay with you for 5 yards, but this is one of those guys in the draft. It's him and Will Levis at quarterback. Stay away from them dudes as far away as you can. I don't know why people are so obsessed with these two players, but these are guaranteed bust to me. And I know I hate putting that label on young guys, but they just have bust written all over them. I didn't necessarily say that about Sauce. I said Sauce has the potential. I just thought eventually he would be a bust. But these dudes, I have no faith in.
well, no lie, man, you weren't wrong for your feeling to a point because whoever thought he'd go to the Jets and succeed? Like, I mean, so you weren't
he had
wrong to a point, but
yeah. Yeah, I was saying that even before he got drafted too. I was like, I'm not a big believer in Sauce, but hey, I went from calling him a Ahmad Gardner to Sauce at the end of the year. I said I'm gonna put some respect on his name. Like, I don't mind. Shoot, when I'm wrong, bro, I'll give you your flowers. The dude was awesome. To be a rookie and be top 3 in your position, damn near number 1 all year. Yeah, bro, we ain't never seen that shit ever.
yeah, no,
outside of Jalen Ramsey, we ain't never seen that shit ever happen.
yeah, no, he did a fabulous job, man.
Yeah.
Well, then I'm just trying to sit here and wonder why even this guy is above this next one, and that's Joey Porter. You know, we kind of talked about him a little bit.
Mhm.
Hopefully, like you said, he's not the fastest, strongest, or aggressive, but maybe he brings that Mamba mentality like his dad used to, and that helps his game out a lot. But talk about him a little bit, and you know,
Yeah, Joey Porter Jr. I like Joey Porter Jr. a lot, and the one thing about him is, and from what I've seen, because we watched a ton of Penn State games this year, he's a very, very physical corner. So if the highest, if you're putting people on a pedestal of like what did they do really well, and that's the one thing he does really well, able to press you on the line. He's a big kid. Um, he's athletic for his size too. The big talk was between him and like Keely Ringo from Georgia, and I'm starting to turn a new leaf on that as well. But you know, probably the prototypical length for what you want a corner to be with today's wide receivers. And he can stick on you like glue as well. But the one thing about him is he can be a little touchy grabby when he knows that he's losing the battle. We saw. I went to a Penn State game this year against Michigan State. He had drew a stupid penalty because he was just holding. So if you're able to get him pretty much on a level of we need this guy to be more disciplined at cornerback, get a good coach in, you can teach him how to get past that. I don't know if it's just a confidence thing with speedy wide receivers, or Jaden Reed was about to have a field day at Michigan State on. Jaden Reed's one of the fastest, best route runners in this class, as far as when it comes to wide receivers. But outside of that, there's not really any negatives on him. I mean, like you said, you got to put in the positive category that his dad played in the league. I mean, say what you want. It helps out when you can go and ask a guy that, is a bedroom down from you. Like, hey, how'd you do this in the league, Dad? How do I need to prepare myself? Plays totally 2 different positions. Remember, his dad played linebacker and he played wide receiver, he plays cornerback. But he brings that physicality. He's as physical as a linebacker, but he is speedy and athletic enough to play cornerback. So there's not a lot of bad things you can say about him. Like I said, I had Keely Ringo rated way higher than Joey Porter. And now every time I watch their tape over and over and over, I see that maybe Joey Porter's probably better than Keely Ringo is. So I don't think it's a bad pick. I think he's probably, outside of one other guy, I think Joey Porter's probably the best fit for your team. I think he just fits. If I seen him in midnight green, I'd be like, yeah, Joey Porter's an Eagle. That's how I feel about him.
Yeah, no, I really like him, and the hands thing, I've kind of fallen off on that one, especially after this year, because if I remember right, his name was Tyler Smith, the Dallas Cowboys offensive guard that they drafted this year. That
Yep.
was one of his big knocks coming out of the draft, is all the holding penalties all the time. Well, he didn't have an issue,
Yep.
Like,
Yep.
I that was one thing I was wrong about. I gave him shit for that. I was like, wow, you went out and got the most penalized guy in the first round. You're fucking amazing. Well, I was wrong. It transitioned very nicely for him. So that's something I'll eat. And, maybe that's just something he needs coached up on a little bit. But, I'll like.
I think what did Philly halftime say? What do you think about Trey Wilson.
Oh,
Are you talking about Tyree Wilson? Tyree
oh
Wilson
yeah,
out of
yeah,
Texas Tech?
yeah. Pretty sure that's who he's talking about.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's who he's talking about too, but maybe it's somebody I don't know because I don't know. I don't know Trey Wilson. I know there's like a 5-star recruit that's coming out of high school. His name is Trey Wilson. that everybody's pretty hype on. He's like a D lineman. But if you're talking about Tyree Wilson from Texas Tech, I like I was telling AK, if you scroll back at the beginning of the show, I talked about him a little bit. He's like the baby that doesn't know how to play football yet. That's what he is. He's a big, huge, strong young man, dude, that if you get him with the right coach, he's gonna be all right. But if not, if he never learns how to use his body correctly, he can look like a pile of shit. Like,
Now that
so
you say that, man, instantly, the only thing that comes to my head now is the baby from Toy Story 4.
that's what he's like in a Texas Tech uniform. Straight up. That's what you put him as.
So the next corner on this list, and I really honestly don't know much about these next two at all, but they're based off top 5 is Clark Phillips.
Love Clark Phillips, man. Love him. And I think if you got this, the other guy I was saying, if you don't get Joey Porter Jr., go get Clark Phillips. Clark Phillips, and I watched a lot of Utah games, bro. I was a big fan of Utah the last 2 years, and their defense was a big part of that, man. Clark Phillips, skill set wise, could be the number 1 corner that nobody's looking at. Like he's that diamond in a rough player this year. Like if I had to put a bunch of people in a pot, all the people that are getting drafted here, and I'm wishing for a couple players, like 5 players that are just like instantly diamonds in the rough that are going to be instantly good in the NFL, and there's not a lot that you have to do other than just build their confidence in them to go against these pro guys. He's definitely one of them. Quick, fluid, ball skills. You talk about competitive, man. You know, the coverage instincts that he has down the field. You're talking about, like, you know, some people get burned on that second level. He's not like that, man. And he's physical for his size. The only knock about Clark Phillips, again, another guy that played in the Pac-12 where they're just super fast. You're not going to have to worry about him when it comes to covering up a speedy guy, but can he tackle well enough for you? That's his only thing. You know, and if you're not,
if he's fast enough to break him up, I don't have to worry about him tackling.
Yeah. That's the one thing about Clark Phillips. But I love him, man. Like, he's top 3 for me for sure. I mean, he could go number 1 on some days. He can go number 3 on some days. But I think he's sitting there at like 2 or 3 on a lot of people's list that know his game. And he's definitely that on mine too. So
is he the second round, a second rounder, or
he might sneak in the first, man? I think. I mean, the dude has 6 interceptions and 2 touchdowns. He's a playmaker, bro.
Yeah.
And I don't know. He let's put it like this: somebody drafts him in the second round. He's a first round still, or he's a first round player that just so happened to get drafted in the second round because there was needs elsewhere.
No, I can handle that one.
Yeah. So I like Clark Phillips, man. He's one of my favorites.
Yeah, because I mean that's the one thing I will say, at least in my opinion, this year's draft is it's weighed more towards the defensive side this year.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's a lot more talent defensively than there is offensively, at least in my opinion. I mean, I don't know how you feel about that, but at least from the way I look at it, that's how I see it.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah.
But then the last one that's on this list is Cam Smith.
I have a love-hate relationship with Cam Smith. I really do. But it's because the first half of his season was terrible. And I believe he was hurt a little bit. He's 6 foot, 188 pounds. Only had 1 interception, 17 tackles, but I believe it's because he got hurt. Man, the thing about this dude, though, is I think he tries to anticipate where the ball is going to be too much, so his ball skills are lacking. But another guy with quick feet and fluid hips and all the stuff that you like out of a guy that wants, you want to have in coverage, he's not going to be a contested ball guy. That's the only thing. And you got to have that in the NFC East. Going again, CeeDee Lamb and Terry McLaurin are going to rip you apart because they're two types of dudes that will rip the ball away from you. They're strong enough to do it. And if you're asking him to cover a tight end, good luck. Dallas, let's say he gets drafted to the Giants or something. Him having to line up against Dallas Goedert is over, bro. He's going to toss his salad every single time. But yeah, like I said, I have a big love-hate relationship with them. If I had to go in there and rank the quarterbacks, I don't even know if I'll put him over Christian Gonzalez because Christian Gonzalez's skill set is cool. He's just the best thing I say for Christian Gonzalez is like he's lazy. Like you're talented, but why are you so damn lazy? Cam Smith is just a less talented Christian Gonzalez to me. I mean, Keely Ringo's better than him. I definitely would put him up there. Tre'Vius Hodges Tomlinson from TCU. Why is nobody putting this dude in their top 3? I don't understand.
It's too many of them.
It's too many of them, but the dude was the Jim Thorpe Award winner for the best defensive back and is getting disrespected. I mean, he didn't have a bad national championship either, but people hate this guy for whatever reason, bro. Like, and I would put him top 5. That's just how I feel about him. A lot of people have him like in his top 10, 11, 12. So Tre'Vius Hodges Tomlinson, another guy to look out for. But a lot of people look at that national championship and they just say, oh, they played Georgia and got their shit pushed in. I'm like, no shit. They played in the Big 12. They lost against Kansas State. Then you expect this dude that plays less of competition than what Georgia's played this year to come out and look good against the best team in the country the last 2 years. It's been years since a team has won back-to-back national championships, and you expect them not to game plan, like not to throw to his side or take him completely out of the game. You got to be fucking kidding yourself. So, is he a bad player because that happened? No, but 3 interceptions and 44 tackles tells you that he's a pretty good corner, right? So I don't know.
Yeah. No, I'd say that. And if you have a really good corner like that, the one thing you do is you take him out of the game. Well, how do you do that? Don't throw to his side.
Facts. But that's the thing. I mean, he's older too. He's a senior. He's part of that COVID kid situation that happened where they're like, 4th and 5th year seniors coming out. So, I mean, if you're looking at age, that probably was, now that I think about it, that probably is what dropped him a little bit. Because a lot of us like Hendon Hooker, but Hendon Hooker's going to be 27 by the time he gets to start. And he got hurt. So you want to draft kids that are like 21, 22, at least, at the most 20, 23. Yeah. Start getting 24, 25, 26. It's like, y'all grown-ass adults now, man. Like in football years, you're a veteran.
I'm not even going to lie, man. Like I crawled in bed the other night. I looked at my wife and I was like, why is everything clicking? Like, 36 should not be clicking, but it is.
Yeah.
I mean, old is old, and it is what it is.
Yeah, man.
I take an honor in getting old, man.
Yeah. I mean, I embrace it.
Yeah, it's a privilege.
Yeah. You get a little bit wiser, and I start to notice things, like, especially when I'm watching football, more than I would have, like, as like a young, twitchy young adult. Like, now I'm starting to sit back and like appreciate, and I played too. So, but it's more so like, man, I like to see the defensive line play. Or here's the new one right here. I'll tell you that just recently happened, like the last couple of years. I like to see a good goddamn punt. And people are like, that's the most boring shit ever. But man, if you could punt one of them bitches inside the 20, I'm cheering.
Yeah,
man, I'm just an old man. So.
Well, dude, and we were spoiled back in the day. I mean, dude, back in the day, that was a normal thing. Like, kickers always put it inside the 20. You're like, oh, that's not new. Nowadays, you get it inside the 10, we're like, you're amazing.
Yeah.
I
miss the Shane Leckler punts that always went inside the 15, bro.
Yep.
Him and Sebastian Janikowski were no fucking joke.
Yeah. And Pat McAfee, he was another good one. Pat was good at doing it.
Yeah, Pat was always doing this shit. And Pat
Yeah.
hit your ass too.
Well, only damn punter I know that will lay your ass out, talk shit over you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love Pat, man.
Yeah, no, Pat's
He's
amazing.
incredible.
But all right, well, we've been live for an hour and 50 minutes. Appreciate you coming on. But before you get out of here, we didn't get to do halfbacks, but I want to hear your take on my guy. I hope you don't crush my dreams here, but listen, I've been high on Bijan for 2 years now. I love this kid. I really think he would be a very good asset to this team. I mean, he is powerful. He's fast. He's in between the tackle runner, and he just does not give a shit. Like I really like how he plays. But what's your take on Bijan?
Let me ask you a reverse question. Where do you think I have him ranked? I don't know. I don't know if you saw
just out of halfbacks.
Huh?
Just out of halfbacks or everyone?
Yeah, just out of halfbacks. Where do you think I have him ranked in my top 5?
3.
I'm pulling it up now. Let's see, because I forgot where I put him. Hold on.
I'll say
I know he is around there. Let's see if I can find it. I'm scrolling because I don't want to get this wrong. But I'm gonna tell you why I have people higher than him. First of all, I'm looking for this. I like Bijan. I just think he's the most confusing running back to evaluate for me. I understand his numbers are good. And let me preface by saying that I like his numbers. I like that he's a physical running back. I like that he's a downfield runner. But what confuses the shit out of me is when I watch him and he tries to be elusive and he has a really good time being elusive. But also on the other end, he's scared to be elusive on a one-on-one matchup when he knows that he can run that dude over at safety. It's like I don't understand his vision. I think he has really bad vision issues when it really matters. My top 5 are this. This dude's not even mentioned, AK. He's not mentioned, and I think he's a better version of Bijan. Nobody's talking about him. Muhammad Ibrahim from Minnesota. Nobody's talking about this motherfucker, man. It's driving me crazy. He had 19 straight 100-yard games. 19. He tore his Achilles last year, the first game of the season. Came back this year, ran for like 22 touchdowns and 1,600 yards. Why are we not talking about Muhammad Ibrahim? This shit is crazy to me. 19 straight 100-yard games. Bijan ain't never remotely touched that. Zach Charbonnet. I mean, if you want somebody that's able to pass catch and a physical back from UCLA, you get him. Chris Rodriguez, this one is probably a little biased to me because I'm a Chris Rodriguez fanboy. So I understand my bias on this one. I have him at number 3 and people are like, you're crazy. Tajay Spears. I told Tajay in person on the interview on our channel, I said, I think you're better than Bijan. And people think I'm crazy. He said, and he told me to my face, he said, I like Bijan, bro. I watch some of his tapes sometime. I was like, I get it, but I think you're better. I think you're better than Bijan. So that being said, I got Tajay Spears at number 4, and then number 5, I got Bijan. So, my list is a little weird, but I like the way he runs, man. And I would be excited if I was you if he got drafted to the Eagles, because you guys need a physical running back.
Well, I don't know if this is even a bad comp, but I like it for me. Even though it's a very bad team to compare him to, because I am an Eagle fan, he really gives me DeMarco Murray vibes. And I know that might sound a little weird, but if you recall, DeMarco Murray, he was a north-south runner, same as what Bijan is. He was power, he was speed, and you know what I'm saying? Like he just gives me that DeMarco Murray vibe.
He gives me more of like a Fred Taylor vibe, to be completely honest with you. I think Bijan's trying to be Ricky Williams when he's really Fred Taylor, or Corey Dillon. Corey Dillon, perfect comp for Bijan Robinson. He's trying to be Corey Dillon. He's trying to be Ricky Williams, but he's really Corey Dillon. Ricky Williams was crazy, man. That was our generation. Ricky Williams could do every fucking thing. He just couldn't stay off the weed. That was his thing. Like, you know what I'm saying? He could have been one of the best backs ever. And then even when he was at Texas, and that's one of his inspirations too, was he was chasing Ricky hard. So, but he's really
I never
Corey
understood
Dillon.
that, bro. They need to get over the weed thing. Weed is not a performance enhancer. In fact, most people would say it makes you more lazy. So if this man's getting high and running for 1,600 yards, like imagine if he wasn't high, he might have been at 2,000. So you know what I'm saying? Like,
hey, I totally agree with you there. I'm not, I don't smoke or nothing like that, but like, shit, I've been around some really lazy people that smoke, and I've been around some really smart motherfuckers that know how to play football or have a really good job right now. So, pick your poison, just like anything else. Like, I mean, it's like saying this, like, you do your job at your workplace. I'll do my job at my workplace. They're probably two totally different things, but we got to go to work every day. You know what I'm saying? Like, regardless if we do whatever we got to do, we take care of what we got to take care of. It's the same thing with this. That's again, like you said,
performance enhancer. If it's a steroid, I get it, because that's a way to bulk up. People get injured that way, but you're only getting fat by smoking weed because all you're doing is eating. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
there's getting the munchies. Like, hand him a bag of Skittles on the sideline. Let him do his thing, bro.
Ain't nobody on the sidelines drooling because he's high and wants to rip someone's head off. No, he's like, bro, are we done yet? I want to go get a cheesesteak.
Yeah, I got munchies, bro.
I've never understood that. I mean, how many times did Le'Veon Bell get suspended 4 games for it? And there's just so many. It's like, it's dumb. Like, let's just move past that shit already. Come on.
Yeah. It's crazy that dude's career got cut short because of this shit.
Yeah,
they wouldn't let Ricky be Ricky. Hey, you know what his weed company's called, right?
What is it?
I'm gonna spell it out in the private chat, but it's called Heisman. But this is how he spells it.
Oh yeah, no, that's awesome. Yeah.
Hey,
I got my
do
medical license. I'm gonna have to look that up and try some.
Yeah, yeah. Go support Ricky Williams. If you're into that, go support Ricky Williams, the Heisman. He spells it like high. Men, because he won the Heisman in college too. That's just
dude,
cool as
you know
fuck.
who else has some bomb ass shit that I never would even, dude, the last person that you would ever think would even remotely know what to even do with it.
I bet you I know who you're talking about, but who was it?
Mike Tyson.
Oh yeah, Mike Tyson.
Dude,
yeah,
Mike Tyson has amazing weed.
He's got his own farm and shit.
Dude, I would have never taken him to be a marijuana connoisseur. Never. Like, out of everyone, Mike Tyson, really, think about it. Would you ever think Mike Tyson was that way?
No, and he said that it was one of those things that has kept him sane to this day.
Yeah.
Like, he gets baked, and I just know that he's really big into that shit now. He's got like his whole farm of shit.
He's doing really well, dude. Supposedly his stuff on the market is like everyone wants it. It's like really good. So yeah, no, he don't even need to box anymore, dude. He's making bank doing what he's doing.
Yeah, he's good. He don't need anything, man. He's good on his own. And he's got his podcast and all that shit rolling.
Yeah.
The name Mike Tyson is all anybody ever needs to know. That name is what did they call that shit? What kind of income is that? Is the spendable income, bro, like on his own. It's crazy.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Like there's a lot of people out there who put Muhammad as Ali as the best, and I understand that he is goated. Like he's probably the original, but to me, Mike Tyson was on a whole nother level.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, listen, I even thought Mayweather was amazing because of his record, but I don't even think Mayweather's on Mike Tyson's level. Like Mike was, I remember watching him as a kid. Sometimes my parents didn't even want me watching him. They thought he was too violent. You know what I mean? Like this dude was just always terrorizing people.
Yeah,
Like,
I think the thing that that people, because my other thing has been MMA, so like
yeah,
I'm into that shit a lot, and I've been in the community, trained with people before. I think the thing that why people give Floyd Mayweather his flowers is because he never really got hit like that.
yeah.
But when you really think about what Mike Tyson did, he was I'll put him in a category like this, AK. I'll still say Floyd Mayweather's up there. He's better than Tyson. Not by a lot, but he's better than Tyson. It's just because Mike Tyson used to kill motherfuckers. There's not another word for it. He used to kill people. Like, and that's what made him so down. Is there outside of probably no, I don't even want to put
Well,
him in
and
that
you
category.
also have to look at their competition too. I mean, yes, Mayweather had some nice stout competition, but dude, Tyson was taking on George Foreman. You know, like I mean, dude, he had
Would you have changed your mind if he went against Manny Pacquiao in his prime? I
who?
think I would too. Of calling Floyd Mayweather probably the best of all time. If
Oh,
Mayweather
dude,
would have fought
listen, I
Pacquiao in his
have no
prime,
hate. I have no hate for Floyd. I love Floyd, and I always root for Floyd. I don't go against his record. I'm not stupid enough to, you know.
mm-hmm.
And in fact, I remember I was watching. Remember those sports shows back in the day where they would do sports science, and they would
Mm-hmm.
have like well, they had Floyd on one day, and they showed how much he could just hit just on a normal, like just walk up and just hit it, just enter in the building, just hit it. I think he hit it for like 900 and some pounds. Just walking up, hitting it, no adrenaline. Then they got him adrenalined up for like 3 hours, and then they brought him back and had him hit it. And I think he hit for like almost 6,000 pounds, which they
Damn.
were like, that's enough to destroy someone's face, you know? And I was like, yeah, that dude packs a lot of punch for a little guy. Like,
And
and
think
he
of
does, you know?
and think about it. His hands were always broken.
Yeah. So, I mean, it was intense, and I've never went against him, but even still, man, I know George Foreman was a phenomenal boxer, you know? There's a bunch of other ones I can't really, I wasn't prepared to think and talk boxing, but it just kind of went there.
Yeah,
But I mean, I don't know, man. It just seems like Tyson's competition was a lot more challenging.
yeah, I get it. I totally get it. Of course, it's different points in time, different fighting styles. That's why it's so hard to match up. But it was no question when Mike hit you, you were done, bro. You weren't getting back up because you didn't want to get. It's you're either getting up because you just didn't know better. Because most of the time when you got hit by Mike, it was like, I'm not getting up because I'm truly knocked out, or I'm not getting up because I'm not about to get hit like that ever again. That man disrespected me and
Yeah,
my
he
family on
probably hit
national
you
TV.
retarded, and your body just naturally just stood up for no apparent reason. Like
Yeah,
your mind was saying stay down, but your body was like, oh, it's just natural to stand up, you know?
facts.
Um, I've always wondered, and I know he probably didn't, but I would have. And I got to ask you before we get off here, would you
Yep.
have taken that punch in The Hangover? I know Zach Galifianakis didn't take it, but would you have taken it? Just to say you've taken one, would you have done it?
Fuck no.
I would have. Oh fuck, I would have.
Man,
How
well,
many people can say you got hit by Mike Tyson, bro?
but
Like,
how many people you don't want to be the first motherfucker to say I got brain damage either. So from Mike Tyson. So I'm willing to take my chances on not
I
getting
don't
hit by
know, man.
Mike.
That nah, Mike's cool, man. He is.
Yeah, yeah, I like Mike, man. The podcast that he's been doing and stuff like that has actually been very informative and very awe-inspiring to know that all the shit that he's been through after his trainer
Dude,
and all that shit, bro.
I learned some of that. I didn't even know that. Like, I didn't know his past was that dark. Like, I knew he was angry for reasons, but but I mean, hell, what? He just broke silence like 10 years ago about that, something like that. Like, it wasn't something most people knew. I guess supposedly he was like sexually assaulted as a kid and shit. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and when you're sitting there thinking, dude, that's Mike Tyson. No one's sexually assaulting Mike Tyson. No, like, that's not, you wouldn't think of that when you think Mike Tyson. But
No,
like he
you
opened up about that but he said that's what made me who I was. Every time I was in that ring, I always thought about that. He's like, and that's what made me the most dangerous man. He's
and
like,
his
without it, I wouldn't have been who I was.
longtime trainer, you gotta remember, brainwashed the fuck out of him too,
Yeah.
to tell him that he wasn't worth anything but being in that boxing ring and being a fucking killer all the time. So imagine that whole shit, bro. Like you,
Yeah.
not only all that shit happened to you when you were younger, but you got some dude hyping you up and acting like you're just a fucking machine,
Yep.
and you don't know any better. It's like raising a child you're not going to speak, you're not going to do anything, we're going to feed you and everything, but your goal every day is to go out there and go punch that tree until you knock that motherfucker down every single day, over and over and over and over again. You won't
Yep.
know any better. You're just going to go around and you're just a machine, you
Yep.
know? It's crazy.
Yeah, no. So I mean, his story is definitely interesting. If you haven't, anyone out there, if you haven't gone and watched it, definitely go check it out. I mean, it explains a lot about him, and I really understood who he was after it all. And I was like, wow, like out of all the men in the world, that's the last person I would ever think that would happen to, just
Yeah.
because of how badass he is. Like you think Mike Tyson, it's like he's probably the most deadliest man with hands, you know.
Facts.
So it was just astounding. Like you never thought it would anyone but Mike, right? Well, no, not really.
Yeah, man. I mean, shit that he's been through and what he's talked about, he's an incredible guy, man.
Yeah,
So no wonder he's successful now.
yeah. Well, hey, I appreciate you coming on, man. We've been live for over 2 hours now. I got to get some sleep. Got work in the morning, but
Yeah,
yeah, I
man.
appreciate you coming on. I learned a lot. Kind of figured out here and there of my reasoning behind things. So appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it was, you know me. Football is what I do 24/7. So even though it seems like this shit, it seems like I work and then straight to football shit. So you already know how we do, man. Daily videos, everything, editing, watching film. So we do. We're even covering the fucking XFL now. So got something else
Yeah.
to do in between off season. So I encourage everybody, if y'all haven't watched the XFL, go watch this shit. It's crazy. So
No,
shout out to
that's just
Marcos.
weird in general, man, because that was shit back when I was a kid. The XFL started when
Oh, I
McMahon,
know. I remember.
I totally forgot it even started up this year. Foothills messaged me like 4 days ago, said, "You watching XFL?" I was like, "Oh shit, that is this year, isn't it?" So
Mm-hmm. It
yeah,
started
I totally
Saturday.
forgot all about it.
It's great, man. They're putting on a good product this time around. They're really taking it serious. So The Rock flew out for all 4 games this weekend, bro. Shit
That's
was
awesome. No, dude, listen, that man alone is probably the best thing Vince McMahon ever built. I mean, The Rock is by far, at least in my generation, probably the biggest icon I've ever seen. I mean, the man's known everywhere.
he's
China.
he's worth like
Well,
over 800 million, bro.
yeah.
It's fucking insane. God
Yeah.
damn, let me hold something. You want to adopt a grown man?
Yeah, I guess I heard like it was I guess he does his contract nothing less than 200 million for a Disney movie. Like that's insane, man. Like you just know if you're calling me about a Disney movie, automatically well, I'm not getting anything less than 200 mil. Like how does that make you feel? I wouldn't even know what to do.
That shit crazy, bro. That shit
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah. So, well, hey guys, appreciate you guys coming through. Shout out to the 5 still left in here. We had a bunch of people in here earlier. Sorry. we were on a kick and I wanted to fit it all in. Usually I talk more to the chat, but tonight it was more about information. So appreciate you guys. Thank you all so much for joining us. Peace out.
See you guys.